Hi, Mark Gilbert here. This video is entitled, What are the Relative and the Absolute? In it, I'd like to cover three key points with you. One is to define the relative. Secondly is to define the absolute. And third, and most importantly, and what we'll spend the most time on, is the relationship between the two. So what is the relative? We all know this. This is the world of matter, the world of form, the world of stuff in which we live. This is the world in which science seeks to understand the interrelationships between things. And in fact, that word relationship is key because relative relates to the fact that there are separate things or entities that are in relationship or relative to one another. So when we talk about the world of the relative, we're talking about the world that we all experience through our sensory input. We think about, we interact with it every day. It's what motivates us for much of our actions. So this physical world of form is the world of the relative. And you can also believe in this world of the relative so much that you can think that's the only world that exists. And this is what many scientific materialists do and believe. They believe in the realm of science and that everything is matter so much that they try to discount anything that seems to be outside the world of matter. Which brings us to the second point. What is the world of the absolute? Well, this is the world of non-matter, non-form. It's the world of emotions, and more importantly, we all experience it as the world of consciousness, the conscious experiences that we have, the worlds that we think are going on within our inner awareness. It's also the world of God, spirit, all that is, everything. It's the world of mystical experiences. So when the mystics talk about this, this wonderful sense of oneness and the interconnectedness of all it is, they are tasting into that world of the absolute. So we live in both worlds simultaneously. And this is a point I make in a lot of my blogs and a lot of my videos, and those who have attended any of my classes or talks often know that I use the phrase that we live in two worlds simultaneously. I tend to stress that because we tend to forget about it. We tend to get so focused on the world of matter and form that we think that's the only world that we exist in. But we also know there's these other things that occur and experiences that we have that can't always be explained by science or by the world of looking at things in relationship to each other. So we feel like there is the world of the relative and the world of this absolute, this world of the non-relative, and we live in both. So which brings us to our third point. What is the relationship between these two? It's easy to get locked into the mindset that it's two separate things, that we are either in the world of form and matter, or there's the world of the God and the divine consciousness or the non-matter. But the fact is, we live in a relationship where we're on a sliding scale between the two. You can sort of see that at the densest point of matter is one end of this sliding scale, and spirit or God or the essence of oneness, the interconnectedness of all it is at the other end. And we live on this sliding scale. This key point was really anchored into my awareness when I read the book, The Kabbalion. It's a book that's about 100 years old, a little over 100. And it was written under the name Three Initiates by a New Thought teacher called William Walker Atkinson. He published it under this pseudonym because that was what he did with a lot of his books. But he also, in that, went back to what was available for the Hermetic teachings that were available at that time, and he summarized them into 7 key principles or points in that book. Now, time has gone on and we've looked at it and recognized that he did a pretty good job of summarizing many of the key concepts that were in the Hermetic teachings. What are the Hermetic teachings? You can think back to, 2,000 years ago, ancient Greece, and even earlier to ancient Egypt. And there was a summation of what the findings and teachings of understanding of how the universe works were put down in this body of teachings. And then that's what William Walker Atkinson summarized in the book, The Kabbalion. You can find blogs on it on my Conscious Bridge webpage where I talk about this book in great detail. But there's 3 key points in here that are relative to this discussion for me of the relative to the absolute being on a sliding scale. The first is that in those teachings, they summarize that all is mind. All is mind. That means that what we experience both in the world of the absolute and the world of the relative is really just mind at different expressions. It's all consciousness. It's all what I've said in some other videos, and many scientists like to say, and philosophers, is that consciousness is the ground of all being, that mind exists at the base of all that exists. The Kabbalion makes that point as well. So mind is what is in both underlying this world of the relative, the world of form, and what's also underlying the world of the absolute, the world of spirit and consciousness. But we exist on a sliding scale, and that gets to the point that the Kabbalion makes, is that everything is in a polarity. That one thing that appears to be the opposite of something else, like right and wrong, hot and cold, it's all just degrees of the same thing. So what we have are degrees of mind, degrees of this underlying field of mind, that then at the third point that comes from the Kabbalion is that everything is vibrating, and everything is vibrating at different levels. And so that at the basest, most gross physical forms are vibrating at the slowest levels, and pure spirit at the highest end of the realm is vibrating at the highest levels. And so, but there are intervening levels in between the two that are all vibrating at different levels. So I hope I'm painting a picture for you that the world of God and spirit at one end of the continuum and this world of form in which we knock around every day in the world of matter, they're the same stuff, but they're on a continuum that's vibrating at different levels. This is very much in essence with what the great chain of being, which is a concept that's come out of the perennial philosophy and the studies of all of the basic essence of teachings of most religious faiths have looked at, is that there's these interlocking aspects of life that are, you can sort of imagine it like Russian stacking dolls, where at the greatest, biggest doll there is the essence of spirit, but that as we come down into soul and then emotions and mind and so forth, and then into the grossest physical forms, they're like these interlocking dolls. And the great chain of being was this recognition that matter in its grossest form was encompassed within the higher realms of soul and spirit. Now, they can define these categories of the great chain of being in different ways, but the key concept was that all these faiths saw a matter where their spirit or all encompassed everything, including the world of form and the world of matter that we live in. There's another way we can look at this. There's many people who like to teach the aspects that we live in physical bodies, but we have other bodies as well, that there are emotional bodies, mental bodies, spiritual bodies. So those who teach this concept and have the experience of this are actually getting at the same thing, that we live in a sliding scale between the world of form and the world of spirit. So this is the key point I really want to anchor into your awareness in this video, is that we live in these two realms at the same time, but it's a sliding scale, and we move each day in our consciousness, in our choices, and in what we're tending to focus on. Are we focused on the world of matter and form? Many times we need to be, because that's what's right in our face. But there's many times we're drawn in through our intuition and our life experiences to higher expressions of ourself. We can also look at the Maslow's hierarchy and many other motivational theories will look at the fact that we often are motivated by base physical stuff, but as we get those met, we often tend to move up into things that are more emotional, mental, spiritual, and beyond the world of form. That there's many aspects of being a human which calls us from the world of form to the greater expression. So in my mind, and how I've often written about this, is that the key point and the key meaning of our lives is wrapped up in the sense that we are born into the world of form, and we think that's all that is. But at a certain point, little chinks in the armor of our experiences say that's not totally true, and we start expanding beyond the world of form, and we find that there are things outside the world of form, i.e. in the world of the absolute, that are drawing us to them. And that the purpose of life is this spiritual evolution that we're on, that we tend to begin to believe at the very beginnings of our being that we are individuals separate and apart from everything. But that part of this evolutionary arc is to move from the world of the relative and up the sliding scale into the realm of the absolute, where we know all is one. And in fact, the ultimate goal of evolution is to take us back in our awareness of the unity of all of life. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's been beneficial. I would love to hear from you. If you benefit from this video or have thoughts about it, be sure to drop a comment below. And very importantly, I would love everybody who's watching this video to be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment as well. So thank you for watching.